Now, Matt, at this stage, as we've probably seen, there were 4 players warming up. Do you reckon the managers will have chosen the 3? I'd imagine they would have done by now.
Well, they've watched a lot of games this week. They know who's the most comfortable on this oil pattern, 44 feet. Of course, James Blumgren has had success, won the singles title. Jesper Svensson is one of the best in the world, so I don't know if that decision is super easy at any point, but 2 guys right there for sure are guarantees, and then who's got the better look the rest of the way.
So James Blumgren, currently the world #1 or the world champion bowler from a couple of nights ago, and getting off where he left off the other day with a strike there. Yes, James was given the wonderful, illustrious title as the best male single bowler at the IBF World Championships literally a couple of nights ago. Great strike there, Matt.
I thought you were going to say best mustache as well.
Well, he has the... The Swedes seem to have some interesting hairstyles and moustaches as well. So, taking on, of course, the fabulous options there. We've got, of course, taking on Korea, of course, the Swedes are Korean bowling. Another strike to go for Team Korea, looking fabulous as well on the board already.
Well, we saw this. Some of these Korean bowlers, again, dominant at the World Championships in Abu Dhabi in 2014. And then this young man, we just saw the left-hander at the World Junior Championships in Paris back in 2019, dominant as well. So when they have the look, they're hard to beat.
Now, just before we came live to you on the TV or online or wherever you're watching us around the world, we were actually having a quick talk, Matt and myself, about the average day of an international world-class bowler. So, as I said, it's about 7:30 in the evening here. Matt, tell me kind of what these guys will have done and what time they will be up in the morning and their average day as a world-class bowler.
At this event, over the past almost 10 days now, the bus would leave the hotel at either 6:15 or 6 or 7:15, depending if we're bowling at 8 or 9.
Okay.
The players, maybe not so much having to be there, but the coaches and some of the staff are there all day long. It was broken up over 4 squads through the day. So there's opportunity to, for them, it's a bit of a sprint. For the coaches, not so much. And then a lot of the players come back and they watch. Others with similar styles, they come and cheer on their teammates. So it could be a long day. So the option is there. But this particular event with the Bakers, it goes a little bit faster. But the intensity goes up while the pace maybe changes a little bit too.
Well, there you go, a little insight into the world of professional bowling, and we are starting off at a breakneck speed. Korea there, of course, striking out, and of course we're seeing the competing team, Sweden, there, getting their spare. Korea then, can they keep up with that strike from the first bowl? Let's have a look. Look at the excitement. I wonder if they've been to their Korean pavilion. Now, if you're not familiar with Expo 2020, there are 192 country pavilions. Korea has an amazing pavilion, and the stars of their pop music are called K-pop. And BTS, for all of you fans of pop music, all of the people probably a little bit younger than myself and Matt will know the stars of K-pop. They were here today at Expo 2020. But as I said, now we're moving on to the world's best in bowling. Great shot here. So we're seeing double-handed action this time. This is the first one tonight. And of course, now this is going to be a tricky shot, Matt. We're seeing pins left on either side of the lane. And of course, it's a tough one when you're having a quick look back at this playback about how you approach your next shot here.
Well, that one could have been certainly much worse, but a few toppling over there at the last second. But the 6-8, pretty much a nightmare for the left-hander. And to get one at this point, at this level, just get one and move on with it.
Yeah, you've taken your shot and it's time to get on with it, yeah. Somebody there busy scoring by the look of it. Of course, as the aficionados of a lot of people here will be scoring their way through the games. You'll notice our supporters, a lot of them very vocal. Lots of them, you'll notice, especially the Korean team members, have these fantastic mobile phones, or cell phones, if you're in the States. They got lovely messages of luck and messages of love to their teammates and fellow members from Korea. And that's really what we love to see at the IBF Bowling Championship. Strike from Korea, look at this. Absolutely loving the action tonight. Korea starting off at breakneck speed there. Now, Matt, when you're bowling inside-outside, I talked to AJ Johnson last night. You don't change the ball that they use inside to outside? It's the same sort of balls that you're going to be using daily, yeah?
Certainly. At this point, knowing the lane condition coming in, you're able to select the 6 balls generally that you're going to bring to these events. Sometimes they don't tell you the exact pattern, so you have to guess, but you can adjust the surface as you need to, as the day goes on, as the event goes on. So those 6 bowling balls then become dozens or 100 different variations depending on what you do to the surface. So that's what the coaches come in. They're always the eyes behind the lanes. And, you make those adjustments on the fly, and certainly knowing that it's humid or hot and the oil is going to change a little bit different than it did in the bowling center. All of that needs to be taken into account, but that's also what the warm-up period is for.
We're looking at action there from James Blundgren, the world #1 currently, well, the reigning world men's single champion from literally 2 nights ago. So he's only 2 years into his reigning title, and he's bowling at a fabulous rate as he did when he won the championships just literally 2 nights ago. Over to Korea. I'll give you a rundown of the teams in just a couple of moments' time, but again, let's have a check of how Korea are going to perform. Oh, okay. Well, that's the weaker of the shot of the Korean team so far. Here's the teams that we are seeing tonight. Jasper Svensson, Marcus Janssen, James Blundgren, who we've just been talking about, and William Svensson. They make up the Swedish 4, and of course 3 of those team will be playing here tonight. Now, Gunji, Yehyuk Jo, Sun Hyung, Ka, and Hee Won Kang. They are the Korean team members, and the best 3 from those are playing here tonight. And there we go. That's the messages of love and support that the Korean supporters have for their team members. We love that. Are you any good at reading Korean, Matt? I have no idea what that said, but I'm sure it was love and support.
You think, as much as I've talked to some of these players, or tried to over the years,
yeah,
with their success, I would know more, but you know, usually they travel with a translator.
Yeah, well, that's the way to go. Or mobile phone or cell phone these days. It's the way that we roll, isn't it? Hello, good evening. Oh, she fancies to go in the next World Championships by the look of it. Yes. Now, what you're seeing is our supporters and our supporters here on the seats. They can also see themselves on the big screen in the arena. So that's how they're getting this audience participation working. Over to Sweden. See what they can do now. Great strike coming back at the Korean team.
Now, in this sport, momentum can change so quickly. In talking to the Team USA players last night, they started with a double, felt good. A couple breaks, couple bad, 10 pins happened, and all of a sudden it gets away, and the other team strings 4 or 5 together, and that's that. And here we're seeing that happen after the 3-backer, the open frame from Korea, and now a big double for Sweden. It's still so early.
Korea again. Let's see if they can keep up the pressure with the action they've seen so far tonight. Certainly can, my goodness me. Now, the Korean team, it literally is everything that they do. They live, eat and breathe bowling, isn't it, in the way that these guys play their matches?
We do get to learn about all these different countries and what they do and what it's like, and the life of the athlete. And it is discipline and training and exercise and the regimen and the schedule, and it's everything you would expect from a career athlete. And it shows at these events, and we just saw Hee Won Kang, solid player, and if you want somebody in your anchor position to throw the shots, he's definitely your guy.
Back to Sweden then with a double-handed action. Just again, that 7-pin staying as it has done on quite a few occasions. Give you a heads up that the players that we're seeing tonight have been competing in action at the Dubai International Bowling Centre since the 6th of November. And that was in the preliminaries, the qualifying rounds. The last night of the IBF World Championships will be tomorrow night here in Dubai. 250 athletes from 35 countries are and were and have been competing in these championships, showing it a true global event. Clearing up, making the spare, what they need to do to keep up with the Korean scoring, which has been quite phenomenal at this early stage of the match.
And the Sweden team kept me pretty busy this week. They threw a lot of strikes. Jesper averaged about 260 in singles, and then they had 22 strikes in a row yesterday, I believe it was, in the team event in qualifying. So the possibility's there, but again, the corner pins, you can throw the perfect shot, you can throw the same shot, and that's bowling.
Now, you're watching us live, of course, online. You're watching us on whatever format you tend to be watching us around the world right now. But if you like a little bit of a change-up, if you want to do something very different and watch bowling in a different way, I'll tell you how to in a second. Korea back up with us. Look at this. They know that they're in the groove. As Madonna once said, they're in the groove. But she did say it a lot better than that. Yep, Strike Cloud 360. Go to your app store, whether you're on Android or Apple. Strike Cloud 360, download it. It's free. I'm not asking you to pay anything. Yep, and it's provided by YBVR, the best VR company in the world. They are giving you a glimpse at how to watch professional bowling, World Championship bowling, free of charge, but you're in control. You can use your cell phone, your mobile phone, and control the cameras. You can look at 360 views around the stadium live as it happens. You can see somebody who's doing something they're not supposed to be doing. All those wonderful things live behind the scenes here from Dubai. So, of course, Strike Cloud 360, that's the way to do it. James then back in, of course, with the strike. Of course, he's the current world champion. 2 nights ago. Fabulous bowling again as he strikes. And you can see the concentration. Happy with that one, Matt.
Another great shot. We saw a lot of that, and he's so animated and so entertaining. Part of that, of course, that's very important here, right? You're entertaining the crowd. We want to showcase bowling for what it is. There's intensity, there's fire, there's rivalries, there's all of it.
I suppose, obviously, you travel around the world. Does the crowd become the next member of your team in certain games and certain matches?
I would say 100%. Depending on where we are, how easy it is to get to. You know, there's going to be a local team, perhaps, or from that country, or some have enormous contingents. Pre-COVID, a team like Australia or England, you'll know they're there.
Now, Good G taking a shot there, and of course another strike. The Korean team are powering ahead there in this particular first of the men's semi-finals, looking very, very on very good legs indeed. And of course, look at the scores there, Matt. What are we looking at here?
Well, certainly a near perfect effort for Korea, and in control here. Max score will be in the 260s for them, and we're nearing the end of the game already. So it's theirs to
lose. Yeah. So this is a one-game shootout, basically. So what happens is, whoever wins this, there isn't another game to see the best of. It's the first one to win goes through to the final. However, when we get to the finals, it's the best of 2. Yes, it is, or the race to 2, as we call it here in Dubai. It is the first team to get 2, and that's what we'll be seeing in the women's and the men's finals. The women's finals are coming up later on tonight. There's the scores there. Sweden pulling back a bit, but as you said, a near perfect score for Korea so far in their performance.
Just the one miscue, but need to keep the pressure on here because, again, momentum can swing so quickly. You know, one non-strike, even if it's a spare, and Sweden now working on the double, can get back in contention at least. But yeah.
There we go again. I think this game is all over. I think this is looking like Korea's game. I don't think I've looked at a scorecard, Matt, like this in any of the matches I've seen. Literally strike, strike, strike. There was one where they got the 7 and take the spare, of course, but it's unbelievable scoring by Korea, isn't it?
Well, and just based on where he slid on that shot as well, I think that's not possible on the other lane. He's far enough left. That lane choice certainly can become a very important factor in this event, especially as the game goes on. But that far left, he's halfway in the crowd on the other lane.
Just to let you know, we had a bit of a faller last night. Sandra, one of our players, fell over and was slightly injured. But good news that she's all well and all fine. So anybody watching with us last night wanting to know how Sandra is, she's fine and all good to go. However, Sweden coming back then with that steely-eyed stare from Jesper Svensson. And of course, striking out. They're not giving up. But it looks like the race is nearly won for Korea. Another strike here, and I think this game over, hey, Matt?
Well, we got a max score now, 236 for Sweden. And again, Korea can get in the 260s, but that can turn very, very quickly.
Okay, let's see what we
so
can do.
We could have a bit of drama here.
If this gets a strike, Korea have won, yes?
Not quite there yet.
Not quite yet.
Not quite there yet.
Okay, well, I'll keep that horse firmly in its stable then for that, Mark. Keeping that pressure on Casey Young, doing what he needs to do for his team, and the Korean supporters loving it.
So to explain the format just a little bit as we wind down and get ready for our next match Baker trios. This is something we are not familiar with. This is
So
not
what's Baker? Tell me explain what that means, Baker in its first right.
In its simplest form, Baker was created in a team event, 5-player team event.
Okay.
Each player bowls 2 frames in the game. Leadoff player, 1 and 6. Second player bowls 2nd frame, 7th frame. Then your strongest player bowls the 5th and the 10th, closes it out in the 10th.
Okay.
So you start taking away players, there's more frames than it is even for the player. So in this case, the leadoff bowler will bowl frames 1, 4, 7, and 10. So 4 opportunities for the leadoff. So generally, in this case, with the 10th frame being one of them, that's going to be your strongest player. 1, 4, 7, and 10. And then the next athlete will bowl frames 2, 5, and 8. And then the final player will bowl 3, 6, and 9. So there's a lot of strategy involved there.
Of course, you want to, if you're Team Sweden, want to pick your best player, and of course, why not pick the man who is the singles world champion from 2 nights ago as your lead out, striking out there and doing well. Not the strikeout you get in baseball, of course, where you don't do too well, but striking out and striking here in bowling, you've done pretty well indeed. Hey Matt, I was going to ask you, you got all these pro bowlers around us here. What do you like at bowling? You're part of the Team USA bowling team. How's your bowling skills?
Good enough to be behind the camera, traveling with Team USA, writing about their successes, and that's fine with me. I'm okay with that. It's much easier to travel without bowling balls.
And that's what we like. Yeah, they're heavy actually. These 15 pound balls. Yeah. Oh, didn't like the look of that one. What went wrong there? Now this is the world #1 or the world champion at the moment. What happened to James in that shot?
That shot almost looked like he stuck at the foul line a little bit, and it just didn't like it. Just a bad shot, tugged it to the right. So either one or both as a factor. Tough spare there. Really now kind of needed that one to keep the pressure on. We'll get a look at the numbers here in just a minute, but 222. So
Korea done it, yeah. It's Korea. So we're looking at this one. Just to give you a heads up of what's coming up next here in the IBF World Championship Trios semi-finals. After this game, the Czech Republic are playing a team. What are they called? Team USA. That's it, Matt. Sorry, yes. Team USA are going to be coming up next. My co-host from last night's show, AJ Johnson, he's going to be in the mix for a place in that trio team. What do you think of his chances of making it into the 3?
4 very strong players there. Yeah. There's going to be, which lane, who's got the better look, and can't go wrong. I'm not saying I'm biased, but I spent enough time around these guys. I know some of the scenarios and the attitudes and who fits where. And we'll see what happens in the warm-ups. We'll take a look.
Well, I was chatting with AJ last night, and he was literally, on the edge of his seat, just literally waiting to get onto the lanes. Right, we've got down to the closing stages of this first men's semi-final. Korea have been dominant from start to what we're about to see as finish. Goodness me.
Now, this young man, as I said, we saw him first at the World Junior Championships in 2019. That was an 18 and under event. So the youngster of the team by far, as we know, the veteran Kang has thrown some big shots on the big stage, but this young man is the next generation.
Guji is the man, and of course Gunji is performing out of his skin. Now, there we go, some Korean messages from our crowd. I've asked the Korean supporters what that little hand signal means. It's love. It's love from Korea. Nothing else. Doesn't mean Squid Games or anything like that. It is love from Korea.
So all you need is love in bowling and a whole lot of strikes. So they'll be in the 260s. Just the one miscue and cleaned it up.
That is probably the most powerful and dominant performance, or certainly one of them that we've seen at the IBF World Championships to date. And that sees Korea making their way through as the first finalists tonight.